Welcome to Binge Watchers, where we talk about the stories and characters we love and the shows they live in. My name is Ron, and let's talk about Season 1 of Requiem. Requiem is a 6-episode mystery psychological thriller type show. It's another BBC Netflix collaboration, and it tells the story of Matilda. She's a professional cellist on the rise. She's playing sold-out shows, becoming super popular, and it looks like she has a bright career ahead of her. But everything changes when something terrible happens to her mom, and Matilda starts digging into her own past, trying to figure out who she really is. So Matilda and Hal, her friend and pianist, follow the trail of breadcrumbs to this small town that Matilda thinks is somehow connected to her past and her mom and the things that she doesn't know about herself. So they go there, they start asking questions, and the more questions they ask and the deeper they dig, things start getting weird. I'd probably call this show a psychological thriller. It doesn't go as far as being a horror story, but it definitely goes for the creepy vibe. If I had to put it in the same genre as some other shows, I'd probably say Dark and The Kettering Incident, although I think both of those shows are several leagues better than this one. Requiem is not a bad show, I had some fun with it, but it doesn't come close to either Dark or The Kettering Incident. Man, those two shows are good. I think the best thing about Requiem is the atmosphere it creates, the general sense of distrust that you feel between pretty much everybody in this town. A lot of this story is about what people are hiding. What do they know about these things that Matilda is after, and why are they not willing to talk about them? So even the locals start seeing that something weird is going on, and maybe they just didn't want to admit it up until now. The way the show is presented, the music, the cinematography, the creepy mansion where they spend most of their time, all of it contributes to the tension. But at the same time, I felt that at some point it does just become tension for the sake of tension. There's this curve of interest where you're like, I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened. I need to know what happened. Tell me what happened. Oh, I don't care anymore. Because even though this is only 6 episodes, the premise of the story is laid out pretty early and you get it, and then they spend a couple of episodes just building tension, and that part for me just got a little bit boring. So the big reveal came, and it didn't really have a big impact on me, especially because they didn't really spend a lot of time building up the concepts that support the ending. In Dark, for example, they spend a lot of time in the show not just building up the characters, but also building the concepts of the world of the show. And these are concepts that you need to understand in order for the ending to truly have an impact on you. Same goes for Kettering Incident, actually. Seriously, go watch these shows if you haven't. Other than being a very good-looking show, the performances are strong, a lot of familiar faces from BBC shows. It's the standard of quality that you would expect in most characters of the show anyway. And this was a little frustrating for me. I really didn't like the main character of the show. And it's not that I think that the actress did a bad job, but I didn't like Matilda. This was actually the show that got me thinking about what eventually became that video about whether or not we need our main characters to be likable. I'll link it below. And while I was making that video, I just forgot to mention this show. So Matilda really is going through something terrible in this show. The rug has been pulled from under everything in her life. She's finding out that maybe she's not who she thought she was, but she also seems like an extremely self-absorbed person who's sure that everything in the world is about her and has no capacity to think about anything that has to do with anyone else. And some people are like that. So some characters in stories are gonna be like that. So I think that the fact that Matilda annoyed me so much actually says that Lydia Wilson did a good job. I mean, maybe the character could have been written a bit differently, but you know what I mean. So it was just the kind of person that I want to see be told or shown that the world isn't just about them and other people exist, kind of like Joffrey from Game of Thrones. There are many scenes in this show where other characters are going through difficult things and Matilda is like, wait, no, my thing is worse and more important, so why are we even talking about anything else? So this show kind of does the opposite. There's an actual scene where someone sits down with Matilda and tells her in these words, "This is all about you. Everything is about you." And I was like, oh, I wish it wasn't though. The mystery and the supernatural elements throughout the show I thought were interesting. I did find myself wanting to know what happened to her. I thought the ending was a little weak because something really cool happens, or like a cool premise is set up and then it's a bit undermined. But I still think that if you're a fan of this style of story, you'll probably appreciate it. It's a fine show, well-produced, quality stuff, interesting story, but I never felt that it goes from kind of interesting to gripping, which is necessary for a show that relies so much on tension. So, bottom line, should you watch it? I'd say probably skip this show unless you're a big fan of this mystery, spooky, kind of supernatural style of show. I am, that's why I watched it. I know that there are other shows that I've talked about in the past that can be considered lesser quality, I guess, but I think that every story is trying to do a different thing. I think that shows can be good or bad at different things. That's why I don't use a rating system, because I think there are some shows that I just can't compare to one another. Like, for example, Breaking Bad and Ash vs. Evil Dead are both excellent shows that I love, but they're very good at very different things, and I love them for different reasons, though they're impossible to compare. Out of shows that I feel that I can compare to Requiem, like I mentioned in this video like a million times, Dark and the Kettering incident, I think that Requiem just doesn't really make the cut. I hope that any of that made sense. What about you? Have you watched Requiem? What were your thoughts about this show? Let me know in the comments down below. And also let me know what other shows in this genre or style do you like. You can say Dark and the Kettering incident, but also say other shows. If you're gonna be talking about spoilers, please use spoiler tags in your comments, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps out a lot. And you can find me on TV Time and Twitter and Instagram, and you can also join our Discord server where we chat about TV and it's a lot of fun, or you can support the channel on Patreon where we do like hangouts and we have behind the scenes stuff and it's awesome, and links to everything down below. So many things you can do. But if you're finding binge watchers for the first time, welcome. I'd like to invite you to join the Binge Watchers community. Come talk about TV with us. It's a lot of fun. Subscribe to the channel. But in any case, keep binging, and I will see you next time.